Ni hao ma, mother cluckers. IEM Chengdu starts tomorrow, and I'm here to give you an overview of what I think the tournament's going to look like, as well as do a little bracket preview and see what should happen, who's playing who, and what kind of hullabaloo we're going to be getting into. IEM Chengdu 2024. Let's quickly go over what it entails, who's working it, what kind of prize pool we're looking at, and before we do, let's quickly jump back and compare it to Beijing, which was in 2019, IEM Beijing. It's been 5 years since there's been an IEM officially with LAN in China, and I'm keen to see exactly what goes down here in Chengdu. I've heard Chengdu's the place to be from this man in particular, Elfish Guy. He's gone there for 1 or 2 events in the past, not Counter-Strike related or some Counter-Strike related. I know he's been there for a few different things now, but he's going back again. So shout outs to my boy Jordan for making that one. But let's have a look. 250k USD prize pool back then, and we've doubled the teams. There was only 8 teams in the competition back then, whereas now we got 16 teams. Prize pool is still the same, but that's a lot of money. That's still a lot of money anyway. And the reason that I'm so hyped about the IEMs and all of these events coming up, moving into next year's crazy calendar, which you might have seen on Twitter, is every event is going to matter that much more, and events with some solid prize money and better teams there as well are going to continue to improve your Valve ranking. Now that that's potentially changing with the RMRs potentially disappearing, I don't know if that's going to be confirmed, but if it is, that's huge news. And if it's just going to be direct invites, then every single competition matters that much more now. That being said, that's all the overview. You see who's working it here. You got the usual sponsors, the usual crew, Counter-Strike 2 in Chengdu. Sorry, I'll stop. But look, 16 teams. These are the teams, and they're not in the correct order for sure right now. If you're having a look, Australis, they've bombed out of the last couple of competitions, so interested to see how they do here moving into Chengdu. FaZe Clan, they are my team to beat for sure. They've made it to every finals in every CS2 event that they've attended, so this could be the one where they put another tick in the box, so to speak, another trophy in the cabinet. FURIA, they're a partner team. G2 partner team. mouz and Heroic both partner teams. But these are all pretty solid partner teams, and I'm thinking Australia still should be, but we get to see what they look like now with Device calling. So it'll be an interesting affair, all things considered, and see how Bro fits in there. G2 doing really well at the major. You know, arguably they shouldn't have made it to playoffs with that whole VP situation, but there is a world where maybe we get the VP G2 rematch. You know, that's something that could be spicy, could happen towards the 3rd day of games, I think. We'll have a look at that in a moment though. But of course, the local heroes, Lynn Vision, I'm hoping that they can have a decent run. Their first game's up against FURIA, and it's an interesting one because I'm pretty sure they played during the first stage of the major. So just we'll get to that in a moment. Monty, I've really liked how Monty have been looking previously, but it looks like they may have a slight roster shift here. So I'll delve into that in a little while. Cloud9, very solid, could be an underdog, could definitely upset everyone and show what they're capable of here. VP, I want them to do well. I want them to get some redemption for what happened to them at the major, and this is their first big competition since then. So really hoping that the Ruskies can do well. Nemiga Gaming, this is one of the teams where it's they exist. They made it through the European qualifier a while ago. Are they going to do anything? Depends on their run. Liquid, definitely a chance for them to make a resurgence as well. You've seen that every competition they've been in so far, things haven't gone right. They've lost to wildcards, they've lost to M80s, they've lost to complexity as well, even during the RMRs, to not make it to the major. So missing out on the major, getting slammed at Blast after having to fly in and have like 1 day turnaround, still not feel too good, and lose that as an event. It's just interesting how this roster's gone so far. Positives are, looked like Cadian was very positive at the major. Twistzz always playing solid, and I've noticed on Twitter, I think they tweeted about it, FPL, YEKINDAR has been winning that, doing really well in FPL, so he was one of the weaker links when we saw them playing at a couple of their competitions, especially at the RMR, and if he can play up to, his FPL scratch, if he can play world-class CS, which is something he's capable of, but he seems to have a choking issue. If he can fix that, And if he can do that at this tournament, then there's a world where Liquid get competitive and NACS can become great again. Wildcard Gaming, however, I need to have a look at their run. I haven't focused on them too much so far, just grazing over the group stage so far. And they have some decent names here. They have some, tier 2 NA players that are here filling in for M80 with the last minute. I think it was visa issues. There was something going on there. So Wildcard's a replacement. Team Liquid is a replacement. But there's a chance that they can maybe do some damage to some of these other teams. 9Z, not one of the strongest South American teams at the moment, but you never want to count them out. We saw how strong South America is at the RMRs, at the major, and what kind of upsets they could potentially pull through. So keep your eyes on them. FlyQuest. Now, this is going to be Grayhound's, ex-Grayhound, Jeeves, FlyQuest first big tournament under the FlyQuest banner. So personally, I'm hoping that things go well, but they haven't had a lot of practice since the RMR. Of course, they've had to kick up the ass since the RMR in that they've been able to turn around, see that, okay, well, we didn't make it. Okay, things haven't gone well, but now they got this new org that they need to impress. They got some sick looking jerseys, but they haven't had much practice against decent competition back here, right? Like, that's the problem going into the RMRs. They didn't have the boot camp. They didn't have a lot of strong teams to practice against, and that hasn't changed moving into at least Chengdu. But towards Pro League, which will be the next competition for them after this, maybe a boot camp between now and then will be solid for them, will show what they're capable of. But here I'm a little bit worried. I feel like they are in a rough state in the bracket, so we'll have a quick look in a moment. And then let's talk about TYLOO for 5 seconds. I don't see them doing anything. They're bad right now. They got a 6-man roster. They've looked terrible online. They're probably going to look terrible on LAN. Something's wrong. Something needs to change. And they have changed it, but they still don't know who the core 5 is. And even Bubsky's saying, please don't do it. So that's that. And that's the overview. So literally, as I was recording that overview, there has been an announcement like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago or whatever. Steel Helmet is going to replace Monty. So I don't know if that's going to change the seeding or the groups. I doubt it will. I think Steel Helmet will probably just go where Monty was in the bracket. Otherwise, all the prep everyone's been doing is for nothing, and I feel like that's a bit unfair. But who's on Steel Helmet? That's a great question, because at the moment, it's the oldies. Okay, this is the lineup that they currently have. captainMo, DD, Attacker, XiaosaGe, and 18YM. I don't know how to say his name off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but it's an interesting one. We've got DD coming back. Look at this glorious mullet. I wonder if he's still rocking that. I wonder if it's expected for the event. Attacker, a El Clasico player coming out of the old TYLOO, and captainMo, a name that you might not have heard for a while. I think XiaosaGe as well was playing on IG? Yeah, so he was part of that IG and hasn't played since, like 21, or has been on this team since 21. There you go. So yeah, IG was his team back then, and it says he's been on Steel Helmet since August of 2021, but they have not gone well from August of 21. So this is what I was looking for. So Monty promote Gizmi and Ryu from Academy. So that's the 2 new names that I wasn't familiar with, because I wasn't familiar with their Monty Academy team. So they were going to get their shot. They now don't get their shot. And as you can see, here were the groups. Where was Monty? They're up against Astralis. Refresh that. Steel Helmet and Astralis. So it's just a straight swap, and it's an interesting swap because I feel like Astralis was the low seed in that matchup. Interesting. Another thing that I grabbed earlier on my phone was I saw ESL CS. They're doing all these stories on Instagram. So, you love to see their Media Day stories, love to see all the stuff that's going on. But look at these fans. These fans are nuts. At IEM Sydney, the Chinese fans were pretty crazy here in Australia. So it just kind of makes sense that this is happening over there. But in Chengdu, right? Like, I thought there'd be some kind of security, stop the players getting swarmed a little bit after all the things that we saw going down at the major. But have a look at this. Now, there's probably not a lot of Chinese fans that watch my channel, but please, send it to him. Give the man some space. He's just trying to walk. He's just trying to get ready for the day. Get out of his way. All right, back to the groups, back to what matters. Let's talk about which teams are playing, which teams, who should be beaten, who the favorites are in all of these matchups, at least for the first day. And then who we think is going to be going home on day one, because there will be some teams going home, which is unfortunate. But let's talk matchups. Game 1, G2, 9Z. G2 is a shoo-in. Maybe there's a world where 9Z come out and show us some more South American upset potential. But G2, of course, coming off of a very solid run at the major, coming off of a very solid performance individually for MONESY, he should just be able to take down 9Z single-handedly, let alone the rest of the talented individuals on that roster. 9Z, I feel like they're going straight to the lower bracket. That's what should happen. But will it? You saw my Major Pick'ems video. What I thought was going to happen might not necessarily happen. Best of one, MR12 upsets are still very much reality, so who knows what's going down. And I'm going to say that 17 times as we go through all these bloody games. Game number dos, Liquid and Heroic. How's this going to go? Who knows? Liquid could come out and show us what they've been cooking up in the kitchen. They've been there for a couple of days now. I've seen them, you know, walking around, taking photos with the fans. You saw at the media day, all the stuff on the ESL Instagram. They're looking happy. They're looking like they want to be there. But Heroic, after a very solid run at the major, feel like they're definitely going to be the favorites in this head-to-head. But you've also got Cadian going up against his old dog. That's a nice little storyline to sprinkle on top there. But I still feel like Heroic should be the favorites in this matchup off of recent performances. But again, best of one. Boom, coin flip. And the last game of Group A, TYLOO and mouz. Now, look at it. That's a skill gap is there. A skill gap is here. And you look at this lower side of the bracket, the loser of these games have to play TYLOO up against mouz. You just don't see it working out for them. They have played terrible. They have played atrocious Counter-Strike online in ESL Challenger League, as well as at the RMR. And yes, they've made these roster swaps. Yes, they got a 6-man roster, but you're not going to swap out mid-game. This is the best of one. mouz, they are very, very good behind closed doors. They are very, very good when it comes to these studio games before they have to get up on a stage. And they have just way too many up-and-comers to not give them this win. There is no world. Unless Mercury and JamYoung go off, they pop off. That's the only angle I can see for TYLOO, but I'm thinking this is like a 95% chance here in this best of one. So hold me to it. Hold me to it. TYLOO, they're going down here. Now down to Group B. What's going on down here, huh? This group is stacked. By which I mean it's top heavy. You know, there are some things going wrong for some teams in this group, but you got VP, you got C9, and you got FAZE. These three teams individually all deserve to be the three teams making it out of this group, but will that happen? And will they win their best of ones? Well, the first best of one, FAZE and Nemiga. Nemiga is one of those teams that can win online, can do some decent stuff online, but they're going up against the HLTV #1 in the world right now, FAZE, and I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. Look, FAZE, coming off of a loss at the Major Grand Final, they are going to want to punch down, and punch down they shall. Nemiga is going to be straight into that lower bracket. Game 2 for Group B, we got Steel Helmet and Astralis. Steel Helmet, look, they've got some names that have been around for a while, but they also weren't expecting to play this. They got the last minute call up. Yeah, they've been playing some CS online, but they haven't been playing good CS online. And Astralis, well, we get to see the Vice get tested against what should be some crazy Chinese Counter-Strike in their first best of one. Will it go well? Will it go poorly? Who knows? But I'm expecting these guys just to absolutely slap the living hell out of Steel Helmet. So, yeah, that should be the case. C9 and FlyQuest, huh? I'd love to be on board with the FlyQuest bandwagon. I will be. It's probably just going to be a lower bracket bandwagon. And I'm hoping that they can show us what they're capable of, but after a kick up the bum from the RMRs, they still have been back at home. They've been probably doing some demo work, maybe some dry run work, but practice-wise, it feels like they still aren't able to find some good practice buddies or get good practice to get ready for these events. So I won't be looking at FlyQuest to beat C9 here. I feel like C9 should be winning this every single day of the week, but in the best of one, maybe there's like a 10% chance that FlyQuest have figured out their issues. Maybe they also play better Counter-Strike against better teams. You have seen that in the past. There are teams that play Counter-Strike that makes sense. C9 is one of those teams, and FlyQuest is one of the teams that can figure that out and play around it. If they play crazy Chinese CS like Lynn Vision, you can't read half the stuff they do. They just run through smokes, flash one by one, bam, boom, boom. Crazy mechanical aim. C9 could do that as well, but chances are they're probably not going to. And the map pool, it's going to be an interesting one between these two, but C9 should be taking it every day. And the final game of groups, Wildcard and VP. Now, Wildcard got the call up a little while ago. They are World 49 right now on HLTV. VP currently 9th. I feel like that should definitely have bumped up after the major, but unfortunately, because of tech issues, that didn't happen. And here we are, right? Now, there is no worlds that Wildcard should be beating VP. I feel like VP, you saw how crazy Norbert was playing at the major. This man individually is better than every single person mechanically on the opposite team. HLTV rating doesn't quite show that, but he's nuts. He's nuts. You got to take my word for it. Now maybe Wildcard can make a lower bracket run. I think there's a high chance that they're going to be playing FlyQuest, and we saw FlyQuest when they did get against M80 with a coach, that Cato struggled. So I feel like, Wildcard could have a lower bracket thing going for him here, but in this game, VP should have it every day of the week. This broadcast has been interrupted to bring you a certified MacMate appreciation moment. Thank you very much for watching the videos. 98.8% of you kings, 1.1% of you queens, and 0.1% of you in-betweens. But only 7% of you are subbed. And I want to make that at least 8%. So hit that motherfucker sub button! Yeah! And that is it for the first round matches. Now, I've cooked up something in Photoshop to show you all. We're going to be doing a little preview of how we think the bracket should play out, who should be playing who, if the favorites all go through. I couldn't find anywhere online that did pick them, so I just had to make my own in Photoshop. Have a look at this, huh? Thank you, HLTV, for letting me do a little screen cap of your brackets and making things a little bit easier to understand. Now, what you need to remember, of course, is when we do go from upper semis, whoever loses here flips the bracket on the low side. So if you are, the loser of this game, you'll be playing on the upper side. If you're the loser of this game, you'll be playing on the lower side of the lower bracket. So that might take a little bit of getting your head around, but look, we're going to work with it. We're going to see what goes on here. Now, I'm going to just go through, send all the favorites through, and then we can have a quick look at how the bracket should play out if everything goes right. And I'm talking favorites as in like what we were looking at just before. The only caveat would be I'll put Lynn Vision to beat FURIA again. I don't think they're the favorites at all, but I think it could definitely happen. If FURIA, are mildly jet lagged, if something's wrong for someone, or I don't know, blah, 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 cry. Lynn Vision didn't have to swap time zones. Maybe there's a world, man. But that's the only one I'm going to do that is an upset. Everyone else, I'm just going to send the favorites through for all of them and see what the lower bracket games look like. Now, we got the first round games done, in theory, and if it looks like this, then it should be pretty obvious who's going through to the next games, especially with all these next games being best of 3. But these are going to be played tomorrow on day 1. If it is 9Z and Liquid, we got that sort of NACS, SACS still going on in a first round or second round in the lower bracket. And we've got FURIA and TYLOO. So FURIA may have to play back-to-back local teams, which is pretty interesting to have a look at. And one of these teams is going home early. So either one of the Chinese teams is going to be booted out of the hotel, buddy, boom, quick smart, or FURIA have made a long run, and this could be very embarrassing for them if this happens. There is a world where FURIA could be up here playing against mouz. Maybe. Could happen. And there's a definite case that should happen, but if it does, then they're going to lose here and probably be down here somewhere anyway. But let's talk about this one first. G2 and Heroic. That's also going to be played tomorrow. So I feel like G2 should be booking their ticket to Wednesday. They might not have to play on Tuesday. But there is a world where Heroic wins this one, so I'll still give it to G2. I feel like they are a better team when things are going right for them. And I'm sure they have fixed their vetoing issues, which seem to be a thing in the major. You saw people saying it was Hooksy, and then Taz owning up saying it was his idea. his idea might have been wrong. Maybe they've gone back and said, hey, maybe we just play our good map next time. If they do that here against Heroic, play their good stuff, could work out. And then Lynn Vision, mouz, say this is a matchup that happens. I don't see Lynn Vision winning this. I think mouz is going straight through up there. Not too much to say about it. Lynn Vision, yes, it'd be sick for them to do really well, but after already playing the BO1 and then having to play this later on in the day, I feel like experience goes a long way, especially for the likes of teams like mouz. What's that? That is like that's 6 hours later or so that they're going to be playing here, so mouz should have it. Lower round 1, Liquid take that every day. If they don't, there's something wrong. It's a best of 3. There's no MR12 BO1s to blame for this one. 9Z, not that great of a team on paper, so it depends on how Liquid are feeling. And also, we could say Liquid, there is an argument that Liquid could also still be up here. You know, they could come out, show what they've been practicing, and look really good, and Heroic are the ones that are down here. But either way, 9Z, I feel like they're out day 1, and TYLOO are definitely going home on day 1. Unfortunate for the Chinese fans, but that's happening. That is happening. Take my word for it. Group B, how we doing over here, mate? We got FAZE and Astralis in that upper semi. FAZE should be winning that as a best of 3 every single day. Astralis, I don't think that there's enough that they could have done in the recent times, in the short amount of time from the RMR, from changing Blame F out, putting Bro in the roster. Like, I just still don't see it working. Against the likes of FAZE, who has Karagoat, who is going to take him all the way straight to the semis. He's going here. They're going here for sure. So FAZE will be going through. Other game, C9 VP. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So I feel like VP win this every day, but there is a world where it's going to be whoever plays better on the day, whoever does better prep is probably going to the Wednesday, is probably going to the upper final and at least locking in the stadium. However, one of these teams, whoever out of this side of the bracket goes down to the lower bracket, you know, these teams are in trouble. That's all I'm saying. I can see that straight away. And let's go down here. Nemiga, Steel Helmet. Nemiga should win that because Steel Helmet is just not a very good team. This is one of those teams that gets pulled in last minute, weren't ready to play. They are just playing, and, you know, shout out to them, but they've got everything against them, and Nemiga should be going into this lower semi. FlyQuest Wildcard, I'm going to let bias decide this one. I feel like FlyQuest should win that. But with my brain, I don't know if they've done enough. I don't know if they're going to be ready enough. I hope that they are. I'm a 50-50 that. Like, this is a coin flip. This game's a coin flip right now. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, after what we discussed, this is what it should look like, all right? G2 mouz upper final over here. FaZe Virtus Pro upper final over here. I ended up going with Virtus Pro. I feel like they need it more, and they're probably going to want it more after the major scenario. C9 should be making this lower bracket run, so everyone else down here, bad luck. You were in the tough bracket. That's just unlucky, unless someone's got some secret sauce brewing. Over on this side, look, G2 and mouz should be locking in these spots over here, and then, ooh, okay, Lynn Vision Liquid. I feel like Liquid should win this every day, but there were points where they did struggle against some of the domestic teams that they played at the RMR. So maybe the chaos of Lynn Vision feeling it in China is the only storyline and the only way I see Lynn Vision winning this matchup. Otherwise, it's just a 2-0 Liquid because caliber-wise, they should be winning this. And you could swap out Heroic, and I could say the exact same things down here in the lower bracket. But on the other side, where it has flipped, Heroic or Liquid has lost this game against G2, and now they're up against FURIA. If Liquid's down here, I think that's harder for them if they're on that side of the bracket. But Heroic being down here should be able to smack FURIA almost 9 times out of 10 right now. I feel like FURIA, unless they're playing out of their minds, unless they get that Vertigo pick through and you just see them all popping the hell off doing FURIA things, like, that's the only way I see them winning it. And that's just one map. They still got to do it on another couple of maps. Their Inferno's pretty solid, so if Heroic goes to Inferno, then FURIA might have a chance, but yeah, I'm thinking way too much about the veto in this scenario. I'm giving it to Heroic though. I feel like FURIA, with what we've seen, kscerato deserves going here, but the rest of the boys, not so much. And then down here on the other side, the B side, lower semis, Cloud9 should be winning this 2-0 every single day, 10 out of 10 times, 100% of the time. Nemiga just do not have what it takes to beat Cloud9 in the best of 3 when Cloud9 want to make the arena. They kind of need to make the arena. Their caliber is of another level to everyone down here. I don't even need to say that for you to know it. And then you've got Astralis and FlyQuest. This one, my bias wants me to say, yes, FlyQuest can make it through the lower bracket. They can make it to the stage. And there is a world. I'm going to give them 10 to 20% of a chance, which, you know, one-fifth of the time they might win this. That's a big call, because Astralis have some very, very experienced, very solid players on their team. This is when they're at their weakest, though, you know? Incorporating Bro into the lineup, they are fallible, they are beatable, and this is the best chance that FlyQuest is going to get to make it to that next stage. But if they make it to this next stage, they still want to beat C9. But the favourite's Astralis, so I'm going to be putting them through. I forgot to talk about the upper finals. These ones don't matter that much because they're making it to the arena days anyway. But let's argue G2 are going to be playing pretty well. mouz, before they make the arena, out of their minds at the moment, going that 3-0 through the Swiss stage at the major. I'll put mouz through in this matchup, and G2 can have to play every day, but I still feel like they're in it to win it here. They got a point to prove. Other side, FaZe and VP. I'd really love for VP to win this matchup and knock FaZe into a harder position, a way that they got to play every single day of the playoffs. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. We'll see what VP look like on the day. A coin flip, I don't think it matters that much, but let's just say FaZe win this. And after those games we just spoke about, this is how it should look if it fills out a little bit more. We got mouz beating G2, so they're going to be flipping sides of the bracket. I'm pretty sure that's how it works here. You got one side going to the semis on the opposite side, and then, you know, the second place goes to the lower side. So the rematch can happen over here if they get past the other teams. And then the opposite, right? VP losing, going to Friday. FaZe coming first in the group, so they're over here. But look over here, we got lower finals now. Liquid and Heroic, a rematch. That could happen. I don't think that there is a world where it doesn't happen with everything going on here. Like, maybe FURIA has a better run. Like, FURIA, even if they win, they'd swap sides of the bracket here when they lose, if this is how it played out. So there are a few ways mentally that we're doing this, but we're just going to commit with what has been going on. You know, these teams won. This team won over that team. Last time it went head-to-head, etc. And with Liquid and Heroic, Heroic should be winning this as the matchup. They won the best of one, in theory. And on a best of three, it's going to be hard for them to get redemption. Liquid haven't had a solid run, so say if they struggle here and here, maybe they're not going to be warmed up enough to play some real CS against Heroic, some European solid CS, or maybe they'll feel more comfortable against that. That's a thing. So this is very interesting, this lower bracket. This one's less interesting because C9 exists, or VP exists. Whoever ends up going down here should be making it the whole way through. But let's talk about Cloud9 and Astralis for a moment. Yes, there is a chance that new-looking Astralis with Device at the helm calling up a storm is nuts. And they have an AWPer. They have one of the best AWPers in the world historically, Device. How's he go against C9, who doesn't have an AWPer? Are they going to get a veto, which helps them out? Is C9 going to get to play bloody Anubis and smack everyone around again? All these questions, right? But I'm putting C9 through anyway. Astralis, it's early days for the shift in the roster. And I feel like C9 just looks like a better team with everything we've seen lately. And with those two games getting played, boom, this is what the arena games are going to look like. Friday, you should be getting Heroic up against VP in that first game. Second game of the day, G2 and Cloud9. Both of those, absolute bangers on paper. I'd say if we end up in this situation, VP being there, looks like it's probably an easier route against Heroic than, say, like that G2 C9. So, bottom side of the table is so interesting. Even the top side, you got mouz, VP, Heroic. I feel like mouz is probably the best team there. But the problem is that a few people have been saying, and what you also saw at the major, taking into account that someone ran on the stage and did that whole shabacle. mouz are still getting their feet, playing in front of people. I have a feeling that China's going to be really loud. Like, Chinese fans are crazy, especially when Chinese teams are playing. Unfortunately for them, they're probably not going to get any Chinese teams in the arena unless there's some crazy thing going on with Lynn Vision. Other than that, there just ain't a chance. TYLOO, Steel Helmet, unfortunately, they're just not good enough teams. So, let's say VP wins that over Heroic, and I'd love G2 to beat C9 only because a G2 FaZe game would be absolutely cracker. I'd love to see that in a semi, and then the winner of that goes on to play the winner of VP mouz. Oof, oof, that's spicy. I think we can theory craft. Mouz are going to choke. VP is going to make a nice little run on that side of the bracket. Grand final is going to be VP FAZE. Oh, which storyline's better? I'm so sold into the VP redemption arc. Just like full redemption arc from not making the major playoffs. Whereas FAZE's redemption arc is just making it to the final every time. And this could be the one that it works. But they keep coming second. That's a common trend. Are they going to choke again in the finals if they even make it past G2? I feel like they should every day beat G2 with the current state of both the teams and the game. So let's say FAZE beat G2. It's going to be a FAZE VP final. Oh, let me update this. Oh. All right, we're updated. We're done. And this is what it looks like. This is what it's bloody looking like right now. Oh. VP and FAZE grand final. I don't know if I said that wrong seconds ago. Oh, and VP win. VP go from not making the major playoffs and FAZE again choking in the grand final so VP can become champions of Chengdu. I see it happening. It just sounds good. It just sounds like it needs to happen. So I really hope for Jame, he gets some solid karma. He took that L on the chin like an absolute champion in every single post-game interview, in everything, like live doing a losers interview, and just being so okay with it, so accepting of the scenario. You could see the devastation on his facial expression, but he just knew that that's what it means. That's sportsmanship, man. Going, okay, well, they're the rules. And it sucks, but they're the rules. He didn't even say it sucks. It's just, that alone deserves this W at Chengdu. I hate to be selling that storyline still, like 2 weeks after it happened, 3 weeks after it happened, whenever that was. But man, he deserves it. Tell me he doesn't deserve it. Let me know in the comments if you think this is how it's going to play out. If you think VP can be Chengdu champs. Am I out of line? Is it not VP's time? Is it time to FAZE the mother flip up? Huh? Anyone in chat, let me know what you think is going to be going down. Remember to sub to the channel. I'm so pumped for IEM Chengdu. I'm going to be pumping out as much content that I can. I'm going to be watching demos. I'm going to be watching all the games. I'm just going to be hoping that we see some solid Counter-Strike, because there's been nice little fixes. You can jump over things now. You still can't boost. That's still a little bit buggy. That smoke molly glitch still exists, but the game, it's getting tidied with every single update. And because it's getting tidied, each of these competitions should be better, and that lets us watch the best Counter-Strike available. And once again, that's it for the video. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know if you like this kind of content. It took a while to theory craft everything going on, do the little bit of Photoshop, do my own little pick'ems for it. And if this one ages like fine wine, that's sick. If it once again ages like dirty old cheese and I get this all wrong and the best of ones ruin everything, then so be it. We'll do a couple of update videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Remember to sub so you don't miss it.